I'd like to introduce to you a compression format that you may not have heard about. It's been my experience that a lot of people don't know about it, but it is a very useful compression format that you can use for 3-band 8-bit TIFF files, and it will compress TIFF imagery to where it's almost as compressed. The file sizes are almost as small as JPEG files, believe it or not, and you'll still have good quality images. And I found TIFF files work a lot better and faster in a lot of things, in Mosaic datasets. I found other formats have their oddities, or they work slowly, like Mr. Sid files, for example, can be highly compressed and they're small files, but they tend to work quite slowly if you use them in a Mosaic dataset, for example. And a lot of people use JPEG files, which is okay, I guess, but when I show you this way of compressing TIFF files, you'll wonder why you do want to use JPEGs when you can compress TIFF files and get good results, have high quality images. It's one of the conversion tools to raster, and the raster to other format, and that's a very handy tool. And so I'll just open that. For this example, I have just 4 RGB TIFF images. They're in my ArcMap project. Just 4 ordinary images. So the whole directory, the TIFF files, the overview files, everything all together. It comes out to 1.34 gigabytes just for 4 images. So can you imagine if you had like a whole county, 200 images or more? Obviously you would need some sort of compression. I'll show you an amazing way to compress TIFF files. So I have the raster to other format tool open, and I'm just going to drag the TIFF files into it like that. And I know the output workspace. I'm going to just have the tool copy them into that folder right there. And I'm not converting it to JPEG or PNG or anything. The output files will be TIFF format with a little change. We're going to go to environments here, and raster storage, and you see where it says compression. We'll go from the default LZ77 compression and go here to where it says JPEG YCbCr, and the compression format, it's called YCbCr format, and it is amazing. YCbCr, and supposedly it's lossless compression if you set the compression quality to 100. And here the tool explains a little bit about the different compression formats, and explains a little bit about the YCbCr format. And I won't read that. You can do a little research on that if you're interested in that sort of thing. You'll really be amazed at the results. Anyways, so that's the only change. Change it to YCbCr format. In the environment settings, we'll hit OK. And yeah, we have our 4 files selected. We've got the output directory, and we click OK. And it's just going to run for just a few minutes. I've run it on hundreds of files before, and of course it might take a few hours to do that. But anyways, the results are well worth it. So let's see what we have. So again, the original images, they were all of them over 250 megabytes in size each. And so the whole directory, everything together, again, was 1.34 gigabytes for just 4 images and their associated files. That's quite a lot. So what did we come up with the compressed files? And so here's the TIFF files, and what do we have? 23 megabytes, 21 megabytes, 23, 22 megabytes, and the whole directory there. It's 127 megabytes for the compressed images versus 1.34 gigabytes for the uncompressed files. Well, what type of awful compromise do we have for the images to be compressed this much? You're probably thinking, well, the quality must be pretty bad if they're compressed that much. Well, let's just see. So here's the compressed images, and I'm going to just drop them into my ArcMap project. Here they are. Now I'm going to make them into a group layer, and I'm going to adjust the symbology so that they're like just like every other image. That'll just take a minute. Okay, now the symbology is set the same as the other layers, so everything's should be the same. So this is the compressed images, so I'm going to call this group layer compressed. There. And let's just zoom into some area. Let's see. How about this? Let me move that out of the way. Let me turn off the compressed layer, and so this is the original imagery. That's 1 gigabyte worth of just those 4 images. And here we are zoomed in. There's like a shed and some cars and power lines. Let's zoom in to 1 to 600 scale, trying to get to where we can see a bit of detail. So you can see I don't know what that structure is, and you can see I don't know if this comes out good in the video or not. You can kind of see features on the roof and the cars and the power lines, and that, again, this is the original imagery, not the compressed imagery. So I'm going to turn off all the imagery, and now I'm going to turn on the compressed imagery, and I can't tell any difference. I'm going to turn off the compressed imagery and turn back on the uncompressed imagery, and again, I can't tell any difference. So I have the compressed imagery on top. I'm just going to turn that on. I can't tell any difference. And here's the compressed imagery is on. I can't tell any difference. The compressed imagery is off. I can't tell any difference. So now let's look at 1 to 1200 scale. And that's really more like a scale that you would normally use. And so that's a uncompressed, and that's a compressed. I can't tell a bit of difference. Let's see. Let's zoom out well, let's oh, here we go. This is a little bit better. Okay, here's a 1 to 1,000 foot scale and some houses and variety of features, a field there that's plowed. So that's the compressed imagery. And that's the uncompressed imagery. Compressed, uncompressed, compressed, uncompressed. Oh, let's go to 1 to 600 feet. Even though it's not meant for that. So there's that field that's plowed, that's a shed, there's some houses, and let's see. So that's the uncompressed, and that's the compressed. Uncompressed, compressed, and I'm impressed. I can't tell a bit of difference, and I don't think you can either. And I can tell a huge amount of difference between the file size, 127 megabytes versus 1.34 gigabytes. And can you imagine the usefulness of this when you have hundreds of images? So here you can use this compression. Again, it's the YCbCr format, and you have it available in Arc Toolbox. In your raster to other format, you have to set the environments. It's really fantastic, and it works great with TIFF imagery, and TIFF imagery seems to work best format for a lot of things, and this compresses it real well. It's just a very handy thing to know about. With this, you're ahead of the game. You know something about image compression that probably not many people know about, but I think this is very, very practical, and you'll find much better results compressing TIFF images this way than using other file formats. So there it is. That's the magic of the YCbCr compression format for TIFF files.